Hi, I'm Erica, and I am talking about motorcycles and meditation. Two of my favorite things. So, like I said, I'm your host, Erica of Powered by Joy podcast, and welcome here. We are talking to you if you are looking for some more joy in your life, trying to figure out how to experience it for the first time or have more of it in just that daily life, and you can't figure out how the hell to get more of that because you're stressed out, stuck, frustrated, bored, and you don't want to sacrifice your commitment to your family and friends while you're on this quest for joy, then join us as we explore this topic. And today we're going to do it through talking about motorcycles and meditation, which I love both of. They are my favorites, especially the motorcycles. So you're probably asking yourself, what in the world do they have to do with each other, right? And both of them help you clear out your mental headspace and give you an ability to focus. So you wouldn't believe this, but if you look at the benefits that are noted for both, they're actually quite similar. They are known to increase your ability to focus and to focus for longer periods of time. It actually reduces stress hormones and increases happy hormones in your body. It actually increases your immunity or your immune system because the happy hormones make you healthier and have a stronger immune system. It increases problem solving skills. And I love all of those, and I think they do definitely come from both meditation and riding your motorcycle. So that's why I'm tying them together. So I changed up locations today, and I thought it would just be fun to be out here with my baby Athena, my V2, and we just did some fun stuff to add a little bit more zhuzh here, and made me even more madly in love with Athena. So anyways, I will try not to get too distracted by my beautiful bike behind me. So, yes, I have a problem. Anyhow, it's a good one. Back to the things that come from that. I want to tell you a crazy stat you've probably heard, and you probably know it varies from men to women, but the overall stat is that most people have about 60,000 thoughts a day. Okay, and that is about 35 to 40 thoughts per minute. And I didn't look up this stat, but it is also proven that the majority, higher percentage of our thoughts are actually negative or critical versus our positive, happy thoughts. And that we usually repeat those same, a very large percentage of our thoughts that we have are repeated every day. It's just like we go on this like rewind tape, like Groundhog's Day. So crazy to think of. And when we're not practicing being intentional, so the definition of meditation is to intentionally pay attention to your thoughts, emotions, and body sensations. Can't do that if you don't pause and actually observe it. And that takes a little intention of stopping looking at your phone or watching TV or picking up the house or chasing kids or putting together a contract or answering the phone. So that means you have to pause and be like, how am I feeling? Or, man, my thoughts, I'm feeling so bitchy today, or everybody's just pissing me off, or, oh my gosh, my stomach's just really bothering me. And like getting curious, like, why is your stomach hurting you? So all of that comes from taking a pause and taking longer than one breath, maybe breathing for 1 minute and paying attention can be called meditation. Or pause. Use either label you would prefer, but that is very powerful. And when you're on your bike, you have to also have you should have focused thought. You should be paying attention to your body. You should be paying attention to the bike and what it's telling you. And it should also help you with paying attention to how you're feeling with your emotions. You should hopefully not be like bouncing all over the place. You should hopefully be kind of right here thinking about how to stay alive, how to be safe, pay attention to your surroundings. Like, there's a focus that's there, and it creates a space where you don't think about everything else. So a little story about me is that when I first started writing, I I dabbled on dirt bikes and other things before, but when I started to really ride, I had plenty of people accessible to me to teach me, and my hubby is very generous in wanting to teach me, and my sons are also helpful too, but I had lots of resources. So that does not mean that I asked for help as much as I probably should have, because I'm stubborn. And I also know that I was really scared and embarrassed and nervous, and I didn't want people to see me fuck up. And I was worried about stalling the bike, and I was just going at it alone and practicing alone, because I didn't want, like I said, people to see me in my learning process. That's something I am getting better at. And still work in progress. And but anyway, same thing for my bike as my meditation. Like, I was scared, I didn't really have clear direction, there were so many options out there, I didn't know where to get or how to get started. Just like with my motorcycles, like, okay, like, how do I get going here? So a lot of fear around that. And so of course, if you want to cut your learning curve, your time of learning down, uh, there's always mentorship and learning and guidance, but we'll get into that in just a minute. So I wanted to talk about that there are, I don't know, 5 or 6 really commonly named types of meditation. And so you'll hear like mantra meditation, movement meditation. I'm not going to go into which each of these are, at least not in this episode, but there's movement is like walking and like paying attention to your steps and your breath. There's transcendental and meditation. There is the mantra where you're like, Om, that's most common. Transcendentals where you're assigned your own personal mantra. So lots of different styles, and guided meditation is one of the easiest ways, in my opinion, that's just my opinion, to get started when you don't really have a lot, if you don't have any experience. And a really easy way to get started, and this is what I did, is I just went on YouTube for free, and I looked up guided meditation for falling asleep faster, or whatever I wanted to meditate about, or just like beginners guided meditation or meditation for happiness or whatever. But one of the best channels I found was Jason Stevenson. I'm going to put it in the show notes so I don't have to spell it out here, but he has tons of videos that are super great. And so I love that channel. So that was a resource, as well as really early on, I actually did a Deepak Chopra guided 21-day meditation. That's where it really first started. So I found that listening to somebody else talk and just listening to music were a good way to get started. I didn't try to just sit and like clear my head. So a lot of people think when you start meditation, you're just going to magically not have thoughts. And so if you have thoughts, you think you suck at it. It's the same thing as like stalling your bike. Like, people think that if you stall your bike, you suck at it or something. But like, let me tell you how scary going up your first hill is, and having to let the clutch out and like oh my gosh. And then the panic would set in, and I'd be like, I can't do this. Same thing with meditation. Like, that progression happens, but when you first start and you're like, I can't get the thoughts out of my mind. One thing that I heard from somebody was to put your thoughts, so I imagine my thoughts in like a bubble. And so when I start to try to meditate and breathe and I start having all these thoughts, I picture each thought in a bubble, and they're kind of like in a train or in a line going across my mind's eye here. And so it's like, oh, gotta get groceries, I can't forget to do that. Oh, I have to call that person back. I didn't sleep well last night. Whatever the thoughts are, they're all in bubbles, and I just try to say, oh, thank you, and like observe them in the bubbles away from me, and that they're moving away from me. They're leaving. I'm like, okay, I'll see you later. But I don't need you right now, but thank you. And that trained me to observe my thoughts. So observing your thoughts is part of learning meditation. And I think for me, one of the most powerful things was realizing that I am not my thoughts. I am the person who observes my thoughts and feelings and my emotions and my body sensations. That's not who I am. And so that means you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions, and you are not the things you're feeling in your body. Those are things that you are observing. And so when you get that little piece and go, oh, I'm not my thoughts, I can observe them, all of a sudden there's this huge shift, right? So if we can take that pause and go, okay, you know, I can do this. I can notice the thought. Okay, so let's say you're like, you have the thought and you can see it move along. Well, same thing in our daily lives when you're not even meditating. Like, let's say a thought pops in your head about, oh, like, oh, that was so stupid of me. Why did I do that? That's a thought, and you observe it. It's not who you are. Now all of a sudden you have the choice to have a second thought that's different or better. So I actually did this thing that I read in a book. I think it was 50 Principles of Greatness. I'll have to look that one up. Anyways, he talked about when you have those negative thoughts, because most of our thoughts are negative. When we start observing them, we can become aware and go, oh my gosh, that is not productive for me. So I put a rubber band on my wrist, and every time I started to talk negative to myself and criticize myself or judge myself, I would snap myself with the rubber band. I know there's some psychology behind it, but you'd snap yourself with the rubber band to become aware, and then I would have a prepared statement to replace that thought, or a prepared thought. And so I would say, okay, maybe I made a mistake, but I'm really good at learning from my mistakes, or I'm always improving my skills. I'm good at learning new skills, whatever the thought is. So we don't always have control over that initial thought when something's happening in our daily lives. But when we are practicing meditation and it teaches us to like actually observe and realize we are not our thoughts, that we're observing them, then we can make a different choice to have the second thought, which can be a better, healthier, happier thought. So then over time, overall, that percentage of your thoughts in the day being 80% negative, maybe it starts to shift to 70. How much better is your life going to feel? How much more joy do you think you're going to feel and be receptive to in just a 10% shift in your day, in the percentage of your thoughts? Or you make the choice to turn them to a happier or more kind and compassionate thought towards yourself or anybody in general. Like, I used to get super pissed. I'd be like in the fast lane and some asshole would be camping out there, or maybe someone cuts me off. I've mentioned this in the other video. Like, I try to tell myself, like, okay, maybe they have a baby screaming, maybe they have to poop, or whatever the thing is, so that I wouldn't get so mad. Left lane camping, that was a bad example because I still get ticked off about that. But the other stuff, I try to, like, second thought, okay, maybe there's an explanation for this I'm not aware of or I'm not thinking about. So super powerful for us to have the ability to realize we can shift when we're aware of our thoughts, that we can start to shift them and have control over them. So that's one thing you have control over. So when your life is full of anxiety and stress and all this stuff going on, there's a lot of things we can't control, but one thing we can control is the thoughts we have and the reactions we have. And if we don't learn how to become aware so that we can shift and make a better thought and a better choice to think differently, we're not going to shift our lives. We're not going to feel more joy. We're not going to even observe them because we're so wound up in this cycle. And so you have to train your brain. And so, like I said, I was terrified getting started, and I'm out there, like, my brain was busy with thoughts of like, oh, what gear am I in? Do I need to shift? Did I didn't lift the clutch out as smoothly that time, or whatever that, or maybe I grabbed my brakes and I like came to a really abrupt stop or something, or panicked and didn't remember my rear brake, or whatever the thing is. Even though I had all these thoughts, and it took a lot of concentration on all of the mechanics of riding when I first started, because it was really intimidating and it was a lot to learn at first. I got home off the bike, and guess what? I hadn't thought about all the other crap going on, like just busy work or my life thoughts. Like, I was, even though I had a lot of thoughts going on, they were one track. They were stay alive, get through, shift. Like, I was super focused. And so it cleared up that headspace. So meditation and motorcycles both put you in a headspace where you can clear out that mental clutter, that mental noise. We have so much of that in our lives now with our phones and just the busyness of life, just constantly coming at us, that we have to carve that time out to meditate or go play and meditate on our motorcycles. Got to carve it out. So when you ask how do you get started, first it's pick a time. Pick a day and pick a time, and then pick a place. So same thing, you're going to do same thing if you're going to go ride. You're going to pick a time and a place that you're going to go and a route. Similar. So you want to commit to that, and if it's important, it'll be on your calendar or in your intentional schedule of the day. So I would say picking that and just either pick a video to listen to and just try it out, or sit for 2 minutes and just breathe. So one of the things I would do if I couldn't clear my mind, because I have squirrel brain, not squirrel, but squirrel, like, oh, shiny object. And I would do meditation where I'd actually breathe in. You picture it in your mind, but you're also trying to do it physically. I would breathe in through my left nostril and I'd breathe out through my right. And then I would breathe in through my right nostril and exhale through my left. And I would do that a whole bunch, and it actually worked really well for me. It might not for everyone, but that's what worked for me. Because when I finished, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I wasn't really thinking about anything else because I was just like really concentrating on that breath in and out. So that might be a good tip to get started, but just picking the time and the place is really the first step. And also just telling yourself you're just going to get curious and try and not judge it. Don't expect yourself to not have any thoughts. Put them in the bubbles that float away, but don't judge what comes through. And that's why I think I preferred the guided meditations when I first started, because I could just listen. I wasn't so much trying and striving to like stop my thoughts from coming through. I was just focused on my breath and listening to the video. It was so much easier. That it just kind of took the pressure off. And then over time, I think the other stuff started to become more of a skill. So just like my bike, that repetition and practice, you got to put it into practice. Same thing. The repetition and doing it over and over again builds that muscle, and it builds your ability to focus. It clears your mind to problem solve. Like, you're going to be problem solving really fast when you're writing, or you hopefully are when things come up, because someone's not going to see you. You're always looking around to make sure you're safe and staying out of other people's blind spots. You want to make sure that you're in their line of vision. You're always looking at the road surface. So like, we're always problem solving and focusing and staying totally, hopefully you're staying focused. So I see how the benefits are so similar in practicing both of them. And so then I wanted to touch on how I kind of feel like you can see a similarity. Like when I first started and I was scared, I was by myself, I was alone, but I also didn't have any distractions, and I kind of got to explore meditation the way I wanted. Okay. And then as I progressed, I joined into group meditation. So just like my riding the bike alone at first wasn't really asking for a lot of help. I definitely say slow progression. So started doing the group meditation, and that's got pluses and benefits. Now you have other people around, so you're like, okay, do I feel safe? Am I getting distracted by noises they're making? Like, are they judging me? Like, how, I don't know, there's just a lot of dynamics here, but at the same time, it can also be like everybody's energy kind of goes together and like increases the vibration in the room. And sometimes you end up getting cool messages or visions or things in your mind that come to you, when you're in that group, even more so than when you're by yourself. Everybody varies, but oftentimes when you get in that group setting, you have different experiences, and so your experience grows. And the same thing with motorcycle rides, you're in that group environment where is that other rider's safety skill level the same as yours, and you need to ride in a situation where you feel safer, or maybe you feel safer because you have people behind you and you're not the last one in the group. But there's lots of dynamics you have to work through on, when you do a group ride. But the fun part is that like at the end you get this shared experience. There's this shared sightseeing. You see the same sights and the same smells, and you're just in that space of feeling so free when you're on your bike, and just the pleasure of it all. And you just kind of get to share and talk about it all. And so same thing with the group. So I thought that was funny. Those two steps were similar. And, I think it helps you grow your skill set faster too when you're around other writers and meditators. So then I thought about how in my own journey of learning to ride my motorcycle, I finally started really asking my husband for more tips. And then I went to the track with him and spent more time watching other people that were way more skilled than me. And I thought, I think I can do this. I'm terrified, but I think I can take this next step. And I had to learn a lot of things about gear and what I need to do and etiquette of being on the track. So lots of stuff to learn. And that space is kind of in my head, kind of like you start to have like a mentorship and a structure and very specific guidance. And when you're in your own skills, you get groups. You're put in a group on the track in your skill set. So like there's novice or beginners, and then intermediate, and like advanced would be like someone who races or super fast. And so when you're coming off the track, you're getting to have conversations around these other people that are way more skilled, and you get to have more reflection. You have more access to people that, again, when you're wanting to do something better and learn how to do something quicker, you put yourself around someone who's already executing that thing at a higher level than you are. And so being at the track put me in that environment where I'm around people doing way crazy cool riding, and they supported me and encouraged me and guided me. And the techniques that you concentrate on as you go on the track, you're like super dialed in. So as you get going and you get comfortable there, now all of a sudden the focus is on like, okay, to improve my lap times around the track, I need to look at the map, I have to reflect, and I'm going to go through this one turn, and I'm just going to work on my throttle or my braking through that turn. That whole every lap, that's the only thing I'm going to work on doing as perfect as possible. So you're like super dialed in, right? Well, meditation, you can get into that environment where you have a coach, or maybe you start enrolling in classes where you're practicing very specific skill sets, or maybe in your meditation, you're taking, you can dial in your meditation to be like about a certain health, could be a certain health issue. You could be going to a retreat around meditation. There's lots of different areas and niches, however you want to say it, around meditation. And there's lots of different experiences you can have. Maybe you want to connect and learn how to get messages from people who've passed over to the other side. It could be all sorts of things. So they both have these abilities where, like, as you're stepping up, like putting yourself around these people that are like more mentors or already executing at that higher level. And so I just loved how both of them have so many similarities, and I'm super passionate about both. So if you're ever wanting some one-on-one coaching on either of those, tips on like how to just get started. If you have questions like around your bike and you're just like, I think I'm curious, like moto curious or whatever, I'm happy to ask questions or help you with guidance there. But also on your spiritual, so I like to say I love my woo-woo and a little vroom vroom. They go together in my world. And so if you're looking to start that meditation practice or dive deeper into it and figure out how to be more connected, and maybe you feel like you need some help and mentorship on your thoughts and observing them and practicing different thought patterns, all of that I love. I'm super passionate about talking about all of this stuff. So if you want to book a one-on-one, or if you have general questions, you can email me. My contacts are in the show notes, but that way, if you wanted to dive further in, I am available for that. I love talking about that stuff. So thank you for joining me and talking about what in the world those two things have to do with each other. And I would say they help clear the mental noise. They help you be more focused and happier and experience more joy. And when you're meditating or even on your bike, I think it creates a habit or a space where we're controlling our thoughts differently or observing them differently, and it brings us more confidence in all areas of our lives, and it can change your life for the good. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it. And I just challenge you to give it a try this week. Just one time, just one little time to start, okay? So anyways, you know the deal. Show notes down there show you how to connect with me more, and also I'd love it if you would share or like and subscribe, and that way you can help me grow this community I'm so excited to grow. Thank you for joining me.